uh, genetics and inheritance. Genetic lineages or pedigree. Week 3, by the way, today's date is 1 April 2024, Monday, and the time there 4 minutes to 12. Right, welcome to my class, guys. Sanbonani, Dumelani, Avsheni, hello, Nda. So those who are new here, guys, feel free, you are welcomed. Feel free to comment, to subscribe, and also share. And then those who are returning students, don't forget to like, guys. We are at week 3. We did week 1 and we did week 2, and if you missed this, guys, our videos are being posted on our WhatsApp group. You can go back. We started at 18, so you can trace those videos. We did concept of inheritance, we did monohybrid crosses, we did sex linked inheritance first week, and then second week we did blood grouping, and then we did dihybrid crosses. So week 3 we are going to deal with genetic lineages and pedigree, and then mutation. Right, so if we are going to plan this in a week, Monday we are going to do introduction to pedigree, Tuesday we are also going to do the pedigrees, and then Wednesday we are going to do question and answer, and then Thursday we are going to do mutation, and Friday we are also going to do mutation, question and answer, because here most questions that are including these mutations, you will find that they are also dealing with sex-linked inheritance. For example, hemophilia, they might come and say hemophilia it's a result of mutation, and then now you'll do the monohybrid with that mutation or on that X chromosome. Right, you understand, right? So now today we'll be doing with genetic lineages or pedigree. Right, pedigree. What is pedigree? Diagram. What is a genetic lineages? In these diagrams, we are using this diagram to trace the inheritance of a certain characteristics. For an example, you have a long nose, and then your father have a long nose, but your mother she doesn't have a long nose, and then we can trace, oh, you got this long nose from the father, or both of your parents they don't have long nose, and then your parents, you will find that your father, you will say, mara papa how emkhulu kukua how wokhokho benu they had to have big nose. That's now we can trace that, right? So let's move on. I don't want to waste much of your time, guys. And then here it's our CAPS document, and then here it's our examination guidelines. In our examination guideline, they said at the end of this lesson, you should be able to interpret a pedigree diagram. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to interpret a diagram. So you should be able to identify a pedigree diagram. The moment you see a pedigree diagram, you should be able to say this is a pedigree diagram. Another thing, you should be able to interpret it. Right, so what is this pedigree diagram? And then they say the genetic lineage of pedigree, it traces the inheritance of characteristics over many generations. So this pedigree diagram, it's a diagram that we use to trace. It's a diagram that we are using to trace the inheritance of a characteristics or a traits over a many generation. So we'll have a generation number 1, generation number 2, generation number 3, for example, up until generation number 4, for an example, depending on how many generation can we trace going back. Then here we'll have you, we are from Good Fridays, guys. We went to the graveyard and cleaner, and then when we were cleaning there, they were telling us, this one is your grandfather. Do you understand? This one is she's a grandmother, and this one is your grandfather. So we can trace it back. You can go back and sit with your mother and say, okay, tell me about the lineage ya mama, my mother's side. And then your mother, she will tell you, okay, now I was born by Mang Mang and Mang Mang, and these two babele nakir. And then this father, this side, sorry, let me do a literal example. Then this side will have your father, this side, then also your father will explain, I'm from the father, and then from there this wom kulukuku, and then you find that from this he can also explain that your father or your grandmother or your grandfather was he is coming from, or he was born of or from Mang Mang and Mang Mang. Right, so you'll see, let me explain this square and these circles. Right, thank you. So this is a pedigree. This is a pedigree. It's a diagram. It's a diagram that we use to trace. right? Or we use to study. We can say this is a diagram that we use to study to study the inheritance of characteristics over the generation. Let's go to our green book. With our green book, they are saying the pedigree, and then this green book, I was checking it, and then the information yet similar with the information from our textbook, right? So we can use this now, or we can use our pedigree or our textbook. We'll use it. So let's move on. And then it said a pedigree diagram, it's used to study the inheritance of characteristics. It is used to study the inheritance of characteristics. It's used to study, or we can use it to trace, like what they were saying on our examination guideline. We can use to study the inheritance of characteristics or traits here in a family over a number of generations. A pedigree diagram is also called a family tree, right? A family tree, you understand from what Caspanian verse what they do a family tree, and then family tree will be like this, But here's the thing with our pedigree. Our tree will be like this, and then you will understand that with our tree here at the back, because this one is been living for a long time, we'll have our grandfather or our grandparents here, ne? And then this one will have our parents here, and then Rena as the offspring will be here at the top. So we can say this pedigree diagram, it's an inverted tree, right? Upside down tree. Let me explain. Let's first come this side and let's explain that this thing of inverted tree. So in our pedigree, ne? Pedigree looks something like this. Right? Here we'll have your grandparents, right? From your grandparent, you will have some generation here, and then this generation will have another generation here. So this tree will be upside down, right? Because even on a tree, the new leaves will find them at the top there. Then the new leaves will be new generation, right? So before we can come here, let me explain this pedigree. Then in pedigree, you have seen it, right? You have seen it. We've been doing previous question papers. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to our YouTube videos. So here's the thing. In our pedigree, you will find in our pedigree you will find a square, right? And then you will find a circle. And then this square represent a male and the circle represent a female, right? And then when these two, they're like this, you will find a line joining, the horizontal line joining these two. You see now? You will find a horizontal line joining these two individuals, right? And then this line, we are going to call it a line of mate or mate line, ne? Or a marriage line. Or a mate line, right? They are mating this one, right? Or X-cross line. For an example, if you are saying with a T for a tall plant, a tall characteristic, not a plant here. We are referring this to we can revert this to a plant or animals or any, but for now, let's use this as a family tree. And then short here, we have a tall person and a short person. And since we know that this side was for male and this side was for female, so this male will be represented by this and this female will be represented by a circle, and then the line in between will be representing the crossing that took place between these two individuals. And then we have a line of descendant, we have a line of the spelling, line of descendant, line of descent, right? And then with line of descent, we are going to have another line that will find it like this with the spike hanging something like this, right? And this one will be our offspring, ne? This one will be generation number 1, then this one will be generation number 2. Let's just say there's a sister here, and then there's a brother here, and then there's a sister here, generation number 2, right? And then with this generation number 2, this will be our generation. And then now I will come there as a male figure like this, mating with your sister like this, and then we are going to have a descendant line, and then we are going to have a sibling line. This one is called a sibling line. Let's write it a sibling line so that we'll remember. This one is a sibling line. It means that now here I'll come and date your sister here, and then we are going to have 3 offspring. Let's just say a male, and a daughter. Ne? So this one will be generation number 3. So it means that when now here as this guy here, you as a guy here, you are going to be mchana to this one, or malume here. Do you understand? And this generation is generation kiba ne? And then since you are malume, it means that we are of a same generation. Ne? So here's the thing with pedigree. This is the thing with pedigree, and we are using this pedigree to trace a specific gene. Ne? Let's take for an example. Before we can dive into these examples, let me explain another thing. In this pedigree, we have an autosomal pedigree, ne? Pedigree, and then we also have a sex-linked pedigree. If you viewed my previous video, I did a small explanation of a sex-linked pedigree. How can we trace that sex-linked pedigree going back, right? So with autosomal, here we also see some confusion here, because in this diagram here, this one represents a male, right? So with our understanding or with our knowledge, we might think that because it represents a male, that means that we will have to have X and Y. No. It just represents that a male figure, same as monohybrid. With monohybrid, we can say a male figure with a black color was crossed with a female figure having a white color, B being dominant and A being recessive, right? And then their offspring, they are going to be B and this, right? So here's the thing. With this offspring, with these characteristics in these monohybrid crosses, we are not sure that if this is a girl or a female, right? We were not sure. We are just going to say whether they are going to be a female or whether they are going to be a male. Their offspring, there's a possibility of this offspring to be 100% black. Whether that person, he or she, is a male or a female, they are going to be black, right? So in autosomal pedigree, we'll be doing with chromosomes from 1 up until 22. We'll be doing crosses like this. But with the sex-linked chromosome, we'll be now linking them at our 23 chromosome, right? So it means that we'll be using this to represent this one will be male, this one will be female. And then another thing, we also have a blood grouping pedigree. And you understand here we'll be using A and B and I, right? Ne? So let's come back now to this side. And then another thing, they will also give you a keynote. You will say that we have a square that are shaded. You will find that some of squares are shaded. It means that it represents a male with a specific character, with a specific gene that they are talking about. Excuse with that. And then we can also see a shaded female. It also means that this female is a female having a gene that we are studying, right? So let's take an example. Here's an example. We are saying tall and short, right? And then now we are tracing this shortness. Let's trace this shortness, right? And then we are saying that let's, for example, let's say that we don't know. With this pedigree, let's say we don't know if I was tall or if I was short, or we don't know if the grandparents here, Mama Zala Waka or Mama Zala, they were tall or they were short, or what gene are they having? They might be tall or they might be short. Where do we see that? We see with this shaded. This shaded, it tells us the phenotypic of that person. Let's just say, for example, we are tracing a shortness, right? We are tracing a shortness, small letter t, small letter 3. And we are saying that with a phenotype, with this pedigree here, we can say that I had a daughter which was short, right? I had a daughter which was short. And then from there, where your brother here, let's say for example your brother here is also short, right? Malume wa bana baka is also short. I want you to understand this before we can go in and dive and explain this with our textbook group, right? With our textbook thing. So here's the thing. Since we know that a shortness is for small letter t and small letter t, we can come here and say phenotype of this person, she's short, right? We can say this one is short and this one is also short, right? And all of them, they are tall, right? And then the tallness is being controlled by a dominant T. So we can come here and say, okay, this one, since she's short here, this one, since she's short, it means that she had a small letter t and a small letter t. You'll agree with me, right? For a recessive alleles to be shown as a phenotype, they have to be a homozygous for that trait, right? So it means that if it's like this, where did she get this small t and where did she get this small t? She got it from the father and she got it from the mother. Right. And the other offsprings here, they are tall. And also my parents or their parents here, this is my daughter. And my daughter here, she's tall. But as the father, I'm tall, and the mother here, she's also tall. Because we are controlled by a dominant T, it means as a father, I had T and the mother, she had T. And we find that these two, there's a possibility of this lady, this daughter of mine here, the first daughter, I inherited, I give her the capital letter T and she got the small letter t from the mother. Or the boy here, he got the small letter t from me and the capital letter from the mother. Now we are studying the pedigree. We are moving on. And then we also see that, man, your brother, my wife here, my girlfriend, she's tall, but her brother, he's short. It means that it was TT. Ne? And then with this combination, we know that this boy here to be this TT, he inherited small t from the father and he inherited small t from the mother. Right? And both of them, they are tall. It means that both of them, they have capital letter T, and then here we can say that this one, he got this T from the father and he got this T from the mother, or the possibility where there's a possibility of she got this T from the father and she got this T from the mother, vice versa. The possibilities are there, ne? And then we also have this sister here. She is tall. What can we conclude now with this crossing here? She can inherit the T from both parents and the small t from the both parents. The possibility is that she can be this, or she can inherit capital letter T from the father and capital letter T from the mother. And the possibilities, they are like this with this one, right? So you understand the pedigree. You understand what is happening with pedigree. We have your parents here, Mama Zalabaka. You have a parents here, and then these parents Babileli Bana. And what we were told is that your brother here, as you my girlfriend, your brother here he's short, and then Wanawa Rina here he's short. So use that pedigree to explain what might happen or what might be the genotypes of those other individual or other relatives that we see. So okay, let's move back to our green book, right? Our green book, it's like this. And then I was saying with the pedigree, it's like the tree which is upside down, right? Can we prove that? Yes. Because here, if we are saying this was a tree, the new generation will have to see them here, right? And the older generation will have to see them there. But here we see the older generation at the top and the new generation at the bottom. It means that our tree, it's upside down, right? Our tree is like this. You'll agree with me, right? So let's go back to our pedigree. So Barry, let me also give you another example here, right? Let's use another example so that we'll now use this step to interpret the pedigree, right? Let me give you a scenario. Let's say I'll give you a scenario so that when you interpret, you can also bring those scenarios like that, right? Let's say the example. We have your father here. Ne? Let me do like this, and you have your mother here, and then from there I will use the same example, right? I'll use the same example, sort of like say similar example. We have you here, we have a sister, we have your sister, and then your sister, now I married your sister here. After marrying your sister, we have two siblings, right? We have two daughters. Let's do it like this. We have two daughters, and you find that this daughter here, she's affected, and then the lady here, she's affected for a particular. They will give you a scenario, right? They will give you they will give, I told you that in this they give you a scenario. You'll know even when you do they will give you a scenario. So here's the thing. They say that in this scenario of mine, I will say that I will say that I will say that okay, now here I will say that okay, now I saw a lady, right? I saw, let's just say a body shape, right? For example, a nyash. Sorry to say that, a body shape, you have a beautiful curve or an 8 hourglass body shape, right? So now I married your sister because of that body shape, right? And then because you are your sister, and then they will also give you if this is being controlled by a recessive or a dominant allele. By let's use D, capital letter D and a small letter d. Are these controlled by a recessive or a dominant allele, right? And then here's the thing, when you interpret, you'll come here, whatever the thing that was caused here, it was caused by a recessive or a dominant allele. Let's just say, for example, it was caused by a recessive allele. But step one, you will have to come and study any key and opening statements and look for a dominant and recessive characteristics and the phenotype. Let's take, for example, here the characteristics were caused by a recessive allele. So it means that all of them that are shaded, they are carrying those two recessive alleles. They have to be two, right? So you can come and study any key and the opening statement and look for a dominant and recessive alleles on the phenotype, right? So from there, but write number two, write in the phenotypes of all the individuals as given in the problem. Maybe they will say that these that are shaded, they are both I was saying an hourglass. They are both they have a I was using that information here in hourglass, but I realized that I've shaded a male here. It means that Papa How here, he was having a, you understand, Bosara Batman. Sorry to say this, but you might find that we have we have a fathers that they are having the backside, right? And then this father married a woman that she's a vas plank. So it means that your father here, we can say this one only small letter d, and then since this daughter here, she also have the small letter d, it means that she got a small letter d from the father, and then she got a small letter d from the mother. It means that your mother, although she's a vas plank, she also have a gene of that nyash, right? What is a nyash? Go and Google what is a nyash. Then okay, then naki yemo na yes mean, then you find that your other sister here, because she's like this, it means that she's not affected. She inherited one d from the mother and the small letter d from the father. Since it's dominant, it means that she's first plank. And your brother here, obvious, your brother, will find that your brother is also a first plank. He took one d from the mother and the small d from the father. And then when ladies like this, she took d from the father and small letter d from the mother. She's Sarabatman. Then now here I come with nothing vas plank, right? Now I come here with vas plank. My backside is a male thing. Nicki Minaj. You see, you understand this, you know this. We have females, we have males that are of Nicki Minaj thing. Or those gays that you understand, you might find that I'm a boy but I have a nyash. Then you find that this guy is a gay, but this gay, oh yeah, let's be serious. This gay unali body, this gay unali body, unali the hips, unali boobs, unali but the sex orientation, yeah, that guy, he is a male, right? So this can be the scenario here. Then now here I come, I have a small nyashinyana, I just have a small a normal nyashinyana there. Then I marry your sister because your sister, she's having a nyash, right? And then there's the line. And then when we produce a baby, we find that no, our first daughter, she has a nyash. Our second daughter, she doesn't have a nyash. So it means that as a father, I have both character. I might be having a small nyash, but I have that gene of that nyash, which I passed with the small gene to the baby. But if we find that in this scenario we didn't have this baby here, we only have the babies that they didn't have a nyash, that we can conclude that our father here, my father here, or the father, me as a boy, I had double, I have both homozygous for no nyash. It means that each and every time I gave the D, I give it with a small d, it's because it's dominant, we are going to have a baby, or we are going to have a daughter with the first plank. So here's the thing with this thing. Here's the thing with this pedigree. With pedigree, you can use pedigree. You can use pedigree to now find out who had the problem in our family. Let's say for example, okay, another thing, I might be saying, okay, now I'm a black guy, and then I'm going to marry your sister. She's also black in color. But jiggy, we have a yellow bone daughter. And then we found that no, our daughter, she's yellow bone, right? Like this, she's yellow bone. And then they're saying that this yellow bone is recessive or dominant. They can also ask you, was this trait here caused by a recessive or a dominant? Right? For us to see that this was caused by a recessive, we find that the parents were not affected. Right? The parents to be not affected, it means that our parents, they were like this. They are not affected. If it was caused by a dominant, they were all going to be affected, and we are going to have a daughter that is not affected. If we find that both of them, they are affected, but the daughter, she's not affected, it means that this trait, it was caused by a dominant allele. Okay, we'll move there. We'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with whether it was recessive or not. For now, let's move on. Here's the thing. Now, as a guy, I'm a black, I'm a dark skin, and the mother, she's also a dark skin, but the daughter here, she's yellow bone. Why? You can even use this as you are a yellow bone here, but your father is black and your mother, she's also black. It means that in those two parents, both of them, they housed a recessive allele, of which when this allele and this allele combine, it formed a phenotypic recessive of a yellow bone. So it means that as a guy, okay, let's just say, okay, another thing. Let's show you an example. I have a yellow bone, your sister, she's yellow bone, and now I'm black here. Your sister, she's yellow bone, your sister, she's yellow bone, your sister, she's yellow bone, and now I'm black here. And then now I'm going to say, I'm going to marry your sister because she's yellow bone. It means that I'm going to have a yellow bone daughters, right? And you find that no, all my daughters now they are not even being yellow bone. All my sons and all, they are not even being the yellow bone. It means that as a father, I have a dominant homozygous, and your sister, she's having a recessive like this. Hence, when I give one allele, it's going to dominate the small allele, your sister. I have another son, your sister, she's going to be dominant. I'll end up having I'm now stuck with a relationship where I married your sister because she's yellow bone, and I wanted my offspring to be yellow bone, and now all of them, they are not being yellow bone. So you see, that's the problem, right? Yes, this is the pedigree that we use to trace the inheritance of characteristics. We trace this to see where did this come from. So now I can say, now I'm marrying your sister. You understand this now? Now I'm marrying your sister because your sister, she's yellow bone. There's a possibility of my child to not be yellow bone. And if, for an example, let's use this. If, for an example, my daughter, she's yellow bone, Your sister, she's yellow bone, and then my daughter, she's yellow bone, and my son also, he is yellow bone, and now I'm black. My sister, she's yellow bone. It means now I have that gene. I carried that gene ya yellow bone. I'm a dominant black, but I'm yellow bone recessive. So I might be black, but I have a gene of a yellow bone. So as a sister here, okay, another thing also, you might find that this yellow bone is being caused by a dominant allele. You might find that, oh no, Mr. Pep, let's use another example. Let's say this yellow bone here, it was caused by a dominant allele like this, and then you find and also again you find a yellow bone guy. Here's the funny thing now. I'm a yellow bone, your sister, she's also a yellow bone, right? Here's the funny thing now. I'm a yellow bone and your sister, she's also a yellow bone. But no, man. Our babies are, we are giving babies that are black. Yeah, you can see that's where you can now say mo barijolela mo. Here's the thing that you say, mo someone warijolela. No. You might find that the yellow bone thing is being caused by a dominant allele, right? But when I give the small a and the small a from your mother, we are going to have a black daughters. We are going to have a black sons. In a family, you say my mother and my father, they are yellow bone. Now I'm a black. It means I'm not a mwana wa mumtsi. Angingani yala. That's wrong, right? So let's move on. Let's move. You understand the pedigree now. You understand what is happening with pedigree. And then from there, they are saying you have to study any key. Step one, you have to study any key and the opening statement. Ne? Then we'll see the example. And then I'll write in the phenotype of all the individual as given in the problem. So you'll write, they will say that the phenotype of Mangma, maybe like they say the shaded one, they are the shaded one, they show the yellow bone, and the unshaded one, they show the other color. Ne? Maybe this one is yellow bone and this one is black. So you'll have to come and write this one, this are shaded. I man, ish, askis. Those ones that are shaded, you will have to come and say, okay, this one that are shaded, they are yellow bone, and this one that are not shaded, they are black bone. Right, you'll have to write that. And then number 3, fill in the genotypes of all the individual with the recessive condition. It must have 2 recessive alleles, 2 lower cases later. So in an example, they will say that yellow bone is caused by a recessive, or the one that is not shaded is caused by a recessive. Then you will have to come here and say small letter a for all those who are recessive, because you know by that time that, okay, you'll see when we do our next genotype. And then for every individual in the diagram that has the recessive condition, it means that each allele was combined from each of the parents, right? Work backwards and fill in one recessive allele for each parent. Step number 4. Step number 5, if the parents showed the dominant characteristic, fill in the second letter which represent the dominant allele or capital letter F. Here's the thing. If for an example, you have your father here, and then you have your mother here, and then you have you here, and then this you here, this one is recessive, right? Let me do like this. No, let's not give it recessive for it to make sense. Let's do like this. And then you say that this one, you have another offspring, you have another siblings here. Let's just these siblings here, wal. And then you know that these siblings here, it was AA, and then he got it from small letter A and then small letter A. But since we have a capital letter here, you can now come and join something like this, right? For this here to be normal. You get me? So any other individual showing the dominant characteristics will mostly likely to be homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant. Heterozygous dominant, right? Okay, let's go and see the actual pedigree and how can we do that in our pedigree. So here's our pedigree. Here's our pedigree. Now you understand. Joshua and John Babile, they were married, and Babile lingwana. Joshua and Ronel. Joshua and John Joshua and Ronel, they mated, and then mated Babalibana. They mated here and then mated Babalibana, Sarah and Peter. Peter went and married Veronica, and then they mated, and then Baba Libana, and then they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offspring, right? So Barry, Here's the information that you have. Step one, you have to find your information here. And then but a pedigree diagram in figure 5.1. Yes, the pedigree diagram in figure 5.1 shows inheritance of eye color in humans over 3 generations. It means that it's generation number 1, generation number 2, and generation number 3 of a family. Have a brown eye, a brown eye color B is dominant over a blue eye color, which is recessive. Study the diagram and then answer the question that follow. Here's the thing. We have the brown eye color, right, which is dominant over the blue eye color. Ne? And then here's our pedigree, and then with our pedigree they will give us a key, right? Here's the key. Here's the key. They say that those who are not shaded, they are a male, with blue eyes, right? And those who are shaded, they are the male with brown eyes. And then those who are shaded, they are the females with brown eyes. And then those one, they are the blue eyes. So if we can go to our information here, what can we get? Man, Saskis. If we can go to our information here, we can get that the B, capital letter B, it's for color brown. And then small letter b, it's for color blue, right? So you know that if this is dominant over this, it means that those who have blue color, they have small letter b and small letter b, right? So we can go to our key, and then they say this one, the male with this one is just a male with a brown eyes. Brown eyes, they are like this. It means that the shaded one, it means that the unshaded ones here, they are the blue eyes. It means that the unshaded one here, they are like this. The unshaded one, they have the blue eyes. Yes, the blue eyes, they have a recessive one again. So we can come in Joshua, because it's a recessive, we can come and say B. This is what I get. They said white is a male with a blue eyes. And then here we can say B, because it's a recessive. Why? Because it's recessive. For them to have a blue eyes, they should have two of them. But if we find something like this, is this person going to have a blue eye? No. Right? This one should have a brown eye. And then also like this person will also have a brown eye. But if we have like this person is going to be a blue eye. So all of them, they will be like this. This unshaded, this unshaded, this unshaded, this unshaded. Right? That's what they're saying. That's what they said here. Fill in the genotypes of all individual with recessive condition. Fill all the individual with recessive condition. And then it must be small letter and small letter. And then from there, we now know that, now here's the thing. We now know that these are shaded. It's either they are having one capital letter or they are having two capital letters. But here's the thing. Veronica here, she has tapped. We start from the bottom going up, right? The Veronica here, she has small letter. And John here, John the Baptist, John here, only small letter. He got this small letter from Veronica, and he got this small letter from Peter. And we say Peter here is having a brown eyes. It means that Peter is like this because he managed to give small b to John, and he managed to have a capital letter B. It means that we have capital letter B and the small letter b. This small letter b, it was given to John for John to be like this, or it was given to Jack for Jack to be like this. And this capital letter here, it was given to Frank for Frank to be like this. And if Frank got this small letter, capital letter B from the father, another possibility is going to have another chromosome from the mother, which will be the small letter B. And now we understand why are we saying Frank unale brown eyes, because this capital letter B is dominant over the small letter. The phenotype here is going to be brown. You get me? Also, the Gaily is going to have the same thing. She's going to have, since she has a blue eye, it means that she has the capital letter from the father and the small letter from Veronique. Then we have now done with this. We have now done with this this generation. Then let's go up. Then with this one, we have solved that Peter is capital letter B and small letter b. It means that the small letter b, he got it from the Joshua. Since we know that Joshua unali small letter b, the Joshua is going to give bana ba hae, the small letter b's, right? So it means that small letter b here, small letter b here, right? And then this one Sarah, this small letter b Sarah, we get it from here. And then the other the capital letter B is going to get it from Ronel, capital letter B, and then it's like that. And then here the capital letter B, Peter, he got it from Ronel, right? So now we are left with to write the genotype of Ronel. Since Ronel unali brown eyes, there's a possibility for this Ronel to be capital letter B and small letter b, ne? If it was like this, yes, she will have a brown eyes, and yes, she will have a capital letter B to give both Sarah and Peter. And then we also have another possibility. If she's like this, will she be brown? Yes. Will she be able to give capital letter B and capital letter B? Then here's the statement that we see here, that any other individual showing the dominant characteristic will most likely to be homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant, right? Ne? So they are saying that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a possibility of them to be capital letter B or to be like this. So now we are going to say this guy, is she going to be capital letter B or capital letter B? Then we come and prove it. Capital letter B from the father, yes. And then if she's capital letter B, she have to get one from the father and one from the mother. And since Veronica, she's like this, it means that this possibility is crossed. We are only left with this possibility. This possibility is going to be here at Ronel. You get me? Do you understand that? So this is what we do when we do our crossing. So Barry, and then Barry questions here, we have our this thing also. Then we have our question, Barry, how many members of the family have blue eyes, right? Then we go back and say those who have the blue eyes, they are shaded. How many members of the family? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the family again. This will be you, and this will be your parents, your father and your mother, and then this will be your grandparent, right? Ntate mogolo wa hao le ntate mama mme wa hao, grandfather and grandmother, right? And then this one here will be your aunt. Ne? Is it so? Yeah. This one will be your aunt here. Sesiwa papa hao. Ne? And then Renali papa hao here, and then Renali mme wa hao Veronique. Then it will be like this. And in this family, how many of them are they having a blue eyes? The blue eyes is non-shaded. We have John 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's where that 5 is coming from. And then we go down, and then, but is Veronica homozygous or heterozygous for eye color? Then we have to be homozygous, right? Here's the answer. She has to be homozygous because this one is a recessive, right? But write down the genotypes of Joshua, Ranel, and Frank. These are BB. And then as you can see, Ronel here. As you can see here, Ronel here, they give us 2 possible capital letter and small letter, because there's a possibility of this. Where's Ronel? The Ronel, she's up here. There's a possibility of Ronel to be like this and to be like this, right? But if, another example, if if they had a baby here and then that baby was not affected, it was going to force us to say Ronel, she cannot be like this, because for this baby here to be like this, she has to take it from the father and one from the Ronel. So Ronel, she was going to be capital letter B and small letter b only. But because on their offspring we don't see one being affected with a blue eye, it means that Ronel, there's a possibility of her to be like this or to be like this, unless when they have more babies, right? So I hope you understand that. Yeah, you can use whatever example that you want to use, and then if you understand that, you are understanding that. But if Frank marries and then you go back and say, who's Frank? If Frank marries a woman with a same genetic composition as Sarah, what is the percentage probability of them having a child with brown eyes? Then we go Frank. Where is Frank and Sarah? Ne? We are going to see Frank and Sarah. We are going to see Frank and so where is Frank? Where is Frank? Frank. There's the Frank. Bare abali Sarah. Where is Sarah? There's Sarah. Then they are going to be capital letter B, small letter b, crossed with capital letter B, small letter b. And then heterozygous. And we know with heterozygous, there will be B, 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 small letter B, small letter B. 3:1. Again. And then the question was, how many? The question was, what is the percentage probability of them having a child with brown eyes? Then the percentage probability of brown eyes, since brown eyes is dominant over the blue eyes, it means the percentage will be 75%. Right? 3:1. Out of 4, we have 25 plus 25 plus 25, 75%. Then you get your answer. Right? So I hope you understand that. Then genetic engineering, you are going to do it next. Genetic engineering, I'm going to do it next week. That one will be next week. Let's go and check genetic engineering. It will be next week. So okay, it's fine, guys. For now, I hope you understand. We can now come to this example. I found this example, and then you understand what they say. There's difference between there's a sex linked. We have different types of did I say this? Did I say that? Yeah. We have autosomal pedigree, we have sex linked here. We have autosomal, we have sex linked, and we have blood grouping pedigree, right? So here's the example. Before we can go to our textbook, I don't think today we'll go to our textbook. Let's see our textbook. Then this will be our textbook. The textbook is explaining the same thing, right? And then the example is also the same as the one that from our, what we call our green book, our Mind the Gap. And then this is what they were explaining. The square represent males and circle represent females. Everything that they're explaining here is what I was explaining back there, right? And then this is the step, and then the step, and then we have activity 7. And then we can go and do activity 7. Then tomorrow we'll be doing activity. If I have time, if I still have time, we'll do activity 7 today, or we'll do activity 7 tomorrow. I don't think I'll have time. So let's see. But here in this our textbook, they are explaining what we were explaining on our green book, right? Same thing, same example, same explanation, same step, right? So okay, let's go to our example. Let's go to our, you'll come here, Joshua, Ronald, same thing. It's the same thing, and then you'll come and then the male with blue eyes, and then you'll say blue eye here, and then here we'll say blue eye, and then here we'll say blue eye, and then they will also, and then a blue eye, and then blue eye. Then from there you write the genotypes. This one is a blue. It was controlled by a small letter b. It was a small letter b. Yeah, small letter b. Was I writing a small letter b? Yeah, small letter b. Right. So you'll write the genotype of the recessive one, small letter b, 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 and then now you go and find Peter here. Since these two, they have small letter b, small letter b, it means that one small letter b from the father, one small letter b from the mother, and one small letter b from the father. It means that this one will be like this, since he is having a brown eyes, but having the offspring that are having a blue eyes. So there with this Peter here, it means that here will be like this, here will be like this, and then Peter here will say, since here is like this, and then here Ronel here will be like this, or it should be like this. Ne? We explained that previously. So let's go to our examples, guys. Let's go to our example. You understand this example. Tomorrow we come and do activity number 7. So okay, here's an example. Barry, a diagram shows the inheritance of broad or thin lips in humans. Broad lips, capital letter B, you go and say B, it's for broad lips. And then it's dominant over small letter b, it's for a thin lips. Ne? But individual 2 here, individual 2 is a homozygous. Use the letter B and the small letter b and write down the phenotypes and genotypes of the individuals. Right here we are just filling in. And then here's the key. They also give us a key here, and they say in a key Those who are shaded, they are male. You know, the square, they are male. The circles are female. Then those who are square, they have broad lips. Those who are shaded means broad lips. Those with clear, they have a thin lips. Then same thing here, right? And then they're saying that individual 2, she's homozygous. It means that for broad lips, right? Since here the broad lips, capital letter B, then what she is homozygous. It means that homo B. Are you agreeing with me? You'll agree with me, right? So from there we can come down here and say, since this is a thin lips, since the one is a thin lip and thin lip is recessive, thin lip is recessive, it means that here this person, by book, she's like this. For this person to have a thin lip, she have to have the two recessive. We start downwards going upwards, right? We start downwards going upwards. And then here we also have small and a small, and then here we'll have a small and small, right? So here's the thing. This person here married this person and we have this. It means that this person inherited a small b from the female and the small b from the father. It means that this father here is going to be dominant and the small, so that he will have a small b to give the offspring. And then here we are going to say small b vowel, and then here we are also going to have a small b. You understand that by now. And then this offspring here, it means that this capital letter B, it was given to this offspring to have a capital letter B and small letter b from the mother, and then capital letter B from the father and small letter b from the mother, right? And then when we come this side, same as then this is the same example that I was giving, Mus. It looked like the same example that I was giving. And then here, Bosar and Bomang. Let me see. Is it the same thing? Yeah. Guys. Okay, it's fine. Let's do it. And then here, because now we see that this like this and it's like this. There, yeah, here they show that this one is a homozygous. It means that this one should be like this and this. Right, this one will be like this, because she can't be B, capital letter B, because the father here doesn't have the capital letter B to give this daughter here, right? So since we're given this, we can now do this, right? So you see that was same as that one. So let's move on. I also have another example. Yes, another example. Taka. And then let's use this example as a X-linked example, ne? Let's use this as a sex-linked example, right? For you now, you know that with a sex-linked example, we have X and Y, and we have X and X. And for something, and then with sex-linked inheritance, right? Sex-linked inheritance, we have color blindness, which is caused by recessive. We have hemophilia, which is caused by recessive, and we have Duchenne muscles, which is caused by recessive. And we also have these two syndromes that are caused by a dominant and dominant. And let's use this sex-linked example as a hemophilia, right? I did hemophilia last week, previous video. We can also incorporate it here, or we can use a color blindness, right? Sure. Let's use color blindness. Color blindness, we know that it's capital letter B and small letter b for recessive, and then Y, we don't include anything in Y. And for a female to be sick, this person has to be like this and this, and then if she's like this, she's a carrier. You know that, right? If like this, she's a carrier. And for a male to be sick, that male has to be like this, and for a female to be normal without suffering from color blindness, that person have to be like that. And as you can see in this question, I did this deliberately. I didn't give you a key. By this time you understand that if I'm going to write a key, I'm going to say, okay, it's fine. It means that here, and then we're also going to have something like this, and we are going to have something like this, and we are going to have like something like this, and we are going to shade. And we are also going to shade. And since we are dealing with a color blindness, a shaded, this one will be a male with color blindness, and then this one should be a female without a color blindness, and then this one will be a male normal, don't say without, normal, and then this one will be a normal female, and then this one will be affected female. So it means color blindness. Ne? And then here's the thing. What can we do here? We can say, fill in this pedigree. Fill in this pedigree, right? From individual 1 up until individual 11. Fill in this pedigree. How are we going to do this? We are dealing with, first thing, we are dealing with color blindness. Color blindness. They will give you an information, right? Maybe they will just come and say a color blindness. Maybe they will come and say a color blindness, it's a sex-linked a disorder. The moment they say it's a sex-linked disorder, you know that your pedigree is going to be sex-linked. If they don't say it's a sex-linked, you are not going to link those characteristics on your sex, right? Another thing, they will say a pedigree below shows the inheritance or shows the trace of blood group. You know, when we deal with blood group, we are going to deal with BOMA A and BOMA O, right? Something like this, right? So here we are dealing with a sex color. The information that they said we have to look out for it will be the color blindness. For color blindness, you now know color blindness is called by a recessive allele. They might tell you or they might not tell you that this color blindness is caused by a recessive allele. And then unless stated otherwise, they will tell you use B or small b, or if they don't tell you, you know that color blindness is represented by capital letter B and small letter b, same as hemophilia. So they might tell you that in this hemophilia, it's a sex linked, use X capital letter A, use X linked with capital letter H as dominant, and use X linked with small letter h as recessive. You know that unless stated otherwise. If they don't say that, you know hemophilia capital letter. So let's dive into this. I was giving you time to write this down before I can come and write it for you, so see if you are understanding this pedigree thing, right? So here we are having number 11. He's a male, right? It means that we can see X and Y, and then we have a male here, X and Y, and then we have X and Y, and then we have X and Y, and then we have X and Y. So here's the thing. For this male to be not affected with color blindness, it means that he has a capital letter B. You'll agree with me, isn't it? Yes. And then here, number 9, because he's affected, it means that his X, it has a small letter like that, right? So with these two information, and we also see here a male with a small letter B. With this information, we see that John here, we can say this one is John. We can say this one is John. John here married Maria. We can say that these two here, I'm referring to number 6 and number 6 and number 7. Let's use numbers. Reference with numbers. We can say that number 7 there, he's affected by color blindness, and he had a son who is not affected, number 11. So it means number 11, he got this Y from the father and XB from the mother. It means that here we'll have X, capital letter B, and another X that we want to see. If is this X a small letter or capital letter. And then from number 9, we'll get that information from number 9. They had an offspring, or they have a baby that is affected. It means that number 9, he got his Y from the father and he got his X affected from the mother. So number 6 should be a carrier. We are starting down, going up. She will be a carrier. And then we have a sister here, number 10. And she's free. She's not affected, right? So now the question is she a carrier or is she a homozygous normal? There's a possibility she got this XB from the mother here. And then where is she going to get another X? She's going to get affected X from father number 7. It means she's a carrier. You see, now we're starting backwards, going upwards. It means she's a carrier here. So another thing you might say, because here a mother, she had a son which affected, it means that she's a carrier automatically, right? We'll write it like this. And then father here, number 5, small letter B, right? Since he is affected, small letter B, since he is affected. And then from there, Number 4, small letter b, since he's affected. And then these two, number 3 and number 4, they had a baby, a daughter at number 8. And then we have x and x. And then since this daughter here, she got one x from the father, and the one x it is affected there. It means that she's going to be something. We can start with capital letters. It means that she's going to have one that is affected here, and the one another one that is number 3 that is not affected at number 3. So now we come to number 3. It's number 3 a carrier or a normal, right? So with number 3, is she a carrier or a homozygous, both BB? We come to number 7. Number 7, he got his Y from the father, right? But he got an affected one from the mother. This X, he got it from the mother. It means number 3, the mother, she has the small and the capital letter B. She gives this to the daughter for the daughter to be clean, not to be affected. But when she gives this small to the boy here, the boy, we see that the boy was affected. So this one, she's a carrier, right? So let's come there back. Number 1, number 2. We are feeling again. Number 1, number 2. We say that the father here, Nazoke, he is clean, right? That's what we can get from this. And then we say why he gave it to the boy. But we can see that the boy inherited a small letter b somewhere. He got it from the mother. Then this concludes that our mother, she's a carrier, and she managed to give another b to the daughter number 6 here. She's a carrier. So it will be like this. So in this family, we don't have someone who is homozygous, not colorblind. We don't find someone like this in this family. Right? This is a family, they are staying together. And the number 6 and number 7, they got married. And when they got married, so here we have a possibility. Here we have a possibility of a daughter that is affected. We have a possibility of a daughter that is affected. When this X and this Y meet, we are going to have this. But when this Y and this small letter b meet, we have this. And when this capital letter X and this small letter X meet, we have like this. But when this small letter Y and when this capital letter B, sorry, the number 11 is not affected, right? So since it's not affected, it was this capital letter XB merged with this Y, right? So you understand that. You understand what is it? Go and practice pedigree. Go and practice how to. Now I will advise you today, just go and practice how to interpret this pedigree. That's what our objective today. Our objective today was for you to be able to interpret a pedigree, right? Our aim today was for you to find a pedigree and be able to interpret it. Let's go to activity number 7. Let's go to our activity number 7 and see if we can interpret one pedigree without. Let's see. Number 1, a pedigree diagram shows the inheritance of a color blindness. You can do this, Anir. You can do this. This will be your homework. This will be your homework. Number 1/04/2024. Then you know that color blindness is a sex linked and it's caused by a recessive. They gave you a letters now. Our statement says unless otherwise. If they don't give you a letters, you are going to use capital letter B and a small letter b. But here they give you a capital letter D and a small letter d. And they say the diagram below, a pedigree diagram, shows the inheritance of a color blindness, also called daltonism, in a family. Color blindness is a sex-linked and is caused by a recessive allele, small letter d. The ability to see colors normally is caused by a dominant D. Right? So here's the thing, you're going to say color D, it's a dominant, right? But a color blindness and it's caused by a recessive allele. D is a dominant and the small letter d is, and then you're going to link them. It's a sex linked, Danir. So you're going to link them onto our sex chromosomes. And then you interpret this pedigree. You start with number 5 going upside. Then you know that this man here, he's like this because but is caused by a recessive allele. Then it will be like, he will be like this, right? and here he will be like this also because it's caused by a recessive and he is not affected. But here the key, a normal male, right? A normal female, a color blind male, a color blind female. Then number 5, she will be a color blind female, and since it's caused by a recessive allele, she will have to be like this. You get me, right? You understand this. And then when we go up to number this one, we are going to say this one here is going to be like this so that he will be affected. And we see that he gave his small x to the daughter here, and then another x, she got it from the mother, and we say the mother here, she is going to be a carrier, because when we see this x and this y meeting, we have someone that is normal. But the possible, when this small a and this small here meet, we have a daughter who is affected, and then you come and fill up everything up until you find number 1 and number 2, right? You use this as a guideline. And then as you can see, number 3 here, she was married by a guy here. You see here, ne? She was married by a guy here, and they have someone who is not affected. So when you will work this out, right? So let's go to number this one. It's only this, and then it's not this way. There's a pedigree below. A pedigree below show the pattern of inheritance of a certain genetic disorder controlled by a recessive allele. The dominant allele is represented by N, and the recessive allele is represented by small letter n. And then you come here, a normal male is caused by a you have to understand the statement here. A diagram shows the pattern of inheritance of a certain genetic disorder controlled by a recessive allele. It means for you to be affected, you have to have both of these, right? So here we have small, and then here we have small, and then here it's going to be determined. Is it this, or is this mother or father? For them to have this like this, it means that they are heterozygous. So that here we'll have capital letter N and small letter n, and then here capital letter N and small letter n, or capital letter N or capital letter N, right? So you'll do the questions and answer the questions. Number 3, let's see number 3. What is number 3? I use a pedigree diagram below to answer the question about dimples, and then small depressions of the cheek when smiling. The dimples, you know what is a dimple. But a dimple allele D controls whether a person has a dimples or does not have a dimple. It means that D, a dimple dominant for dimple, and then the allele dimple is the allele for having dimples is dominant to the allele of not having a dimple. And then small letter d is when you are not having a dimple. So we see a male here and a female here, and then if they are shaded here, they have no dimples. If they are not shaded, they have dimples. And if, since this no dimples is it's controlled by a small by a recessive allele, it means for you to have no dimples, for you to have dimples, they are saying that the allele of having dimple is dominant to the allele. You see, you have to come back and read here. You have to come back and understand the allele for the allele for having a dimples is dominant to the alleles of not having a dimple. It means that when you have like this, you don't have a dimple, let's see, but no dimple, it's shaded. It means that D here, D here, D here, D here. Okay, they are shaded, they have no dimples, and this is controlled by a recessive allele. When you have dimples, it means that it's either, when you are like this, it's either you have capital letter D and small letter d, or capital letter D, capital letter D. So go and use, starting from number 12 and number 13, go and fill in those pedigrees, ne? And you can answer question if you want to answer question, but we are going to do this tomorrow. So thank you guys. Here you are going to say, okay, it's fine. Then number 13, this one, Hannah, it means that this one, he got it one from the father, and he got it one from the father, square is a father, and one from the mother. And since both of them they have dimples, it means they have a capital letter and they have a capital letter. You are learning this, and then it means here there's a possibility of this person to be like this, or there's a possibility of this person to be like this. So go and learn how to fill this pedigree. Thank you. That's it from me. We thank you guys. Tomorrow we'll be doing a pedigree again, questions. revision, and doing these questions here, and then Wednesday we'll be doing question papers that are related to pedigrees and what. And that's it from me, guys. Today's lesson was that. So thank you until we meet again. Let's meet again tomorrow. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like, guys. Thank you until we meet again. Sharp sharp.